I'm going to forewarn you, this project was probably one of the most complicated I've done, even though it's not a complicated project. What I mean by that is I ran into several issues with this transmission. I had to pull it at least twice, three times if I'm not mistaken. I had a spare transmission in the shop. I was going to swap over that. I managed to drop it and break the bell housing. So I had to swap parts from one transmission to the other, load it up, find out it's draining or leaking like sieve, pull it, swap over some more parts, put it back in. Now we're all good. The good thing is you're still going to see this transmission swap. The even better thing is you're going to see some potential issues you can run into and how to overcome them. So enjoy the video. I hope it helps out. Hey, what's up everyone? Mike here in the BFH garage. Do I have any manual transmission enthusiasts out there? I know there's plenty of them, and trust me, I'm one too. I love driving those things. I have a blast, especially farting around town, driving top off. I just have fun with it. However, out on the trail, while I still have fun with it on the trail, I'm at the point in my driving style where I need to make a swap to an automatic transmission because I need the control when I'm on these very technical obstacles, especially when you're really steep or you're off camber and you're trying to just inch your way around something. A clutch just makes it tough, doesn't make it impossible. And I know you guys are going to blow up the comments. I get it. I'm one of them. But I just want to swap over and regain some control that I haven't had in a while. Now, this project is fairly well involved. I wouldn't give it a 1 out of 5 by any stretch of the imagination, but it's not impossible either. In fact, if you're working on this and you're not filming like me and you stay focused and you have an extra set of hands, you could probably get this done in a day or two. However, it's way more involved than that, especially when it comes to collecting all the right parts, making sure you have the right sensors, getting your PC and flash, all this stuff comes into play. So behind me is my 1998 TJ. It's got the 5-speed AX15. Loved it. I still love it, but it's gone. Time to swap in this 32RH 3-speed transmission in its place. I'm going to show you how to do it. I'm going to show you what's involved. Now let's talk about parts real quick because you have to collect a lot of them in order to get this done right. Now I've been working on collecting parts for the better part of 2 years now, not because it took me 2 years to find everything, but because I just didn't get this project till now. So that's neither here nor there. But anyway, it is a process to get all the right parts. Now, if you're not near a junkyard where you can just go pull a transmission out of a TJ, then you're going to have to figure out how you're going to get all the parts that go with this, because some places will just sell you a transmission, but not the flex plate or not the torque converter, not the shifter. You need to figure this kind of stuff out. Now, so the first thing I have is my 32RH 3-speed transmission. Now there's different versions of this. Make sure you get the one for the TJ. The one for the YJ is a little bit different. You can make it work, but it's far easier if you just start with a TJ transmission. That's enough on that. Now in this case here, this one came with the torque converter. Another thing you want to make sure you get is the dipstick tube. And the dipstick, you want to buy a new rubber bushing that goes in right there. And the reason is, on eBay, these run about $200. These are very, very difficult to get. One from a 30RH will not work with this. You need to get the one for the 32RH. Now, the nice thing is, when collecting all these parts, I ended up with doubles of a lot of stuff. So I had 2 dipstick tubes, 2 dipsticks, two flex plates, blah, 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 went down the road. So I kind of had the best of both worlds to choose from. Other parts that are very, you want to make sure you're going to get your shifter bezel, the shifter handle, the tunnel plate, all this stuff. If you can get it as one unit like this, you are going to be way ahead of the game. I had a couple of these. You need to make sure that you get your brake pedal that is going to go in place of your brake and clutch pedal inside. There's a cover plate you're going to need for that as well. The other parts that are critical to have, you need to have your TV cable that's going to go with that. And all these parts came from this one, so I know everything works together. When you're pulling that TV cable off and your interlock cable, be very careful because these plastic ends tend to break. They become brittle over time. So make sure when you go to pull those things out, be very, very delicate as you're pulling these things out, and make sure you're seeing how they come out so you can do it correctly without breaking it. The one thing you're probably going to struggle with, and there was no way around it for me, and I struggled with it too, Your cooler lines here, these fittings, when you go to turn them, the cooler line doesn't turn with it, and the fitting, it's just everything's stuck, and you end up twisting, and those lines get bent. Or you get there, and somebody else had already pulled the engine or something, and they just cut these out of the way. That happens all the time. So I had to source new cooler lines, and I'll get into those too because these are giving me fits, but they're going to work. You're going to have to get those. These are kind of parts I'm telling you that you need to make sure you have before you start. Now, for me, I have a 241 T case in there that came out of a Rubicon. They didn't make it in 1998, so the 32RH going into even a 231, the I believe it's the output shaft difference on the transmissions enough that you need to source a seal extender. And not only a seal extender, but a seal. And if you're like me, get two because you'll tend to screw up the first one. But anyway, you want to make sure you get a seal extender. You need to measure at the back, make sure if you need it or not, and then you have that on hand. The other thing I opted to do, and this is one thing you're going to have to learn in a junkyard, they remove fluids. The bottom of this pan has a hole in it because they remove the fluid, but I'm fine with that because I'm going with a deep pan. And the reason a deep pan is important is when you get on some serious inclines, it doesn't starve the transmission for the fluid. One thing though, these don't come with, and that is a bung for a temperature sensor. So before you even put this pan on, get a bung brazed in and leave yourself something there for a temperature sensor. That way you can monitor your temps. Let me see what else we have here. The flex plate, make sure you get the stiffener with it. Make sure you get all of the correct bolts. Make sure, things. Your crank position sensor goes right here. Make sure you get one of these. I have 3 of these now, and OEM's the way to go on these. And the nice thing about having 3 of those now is I have some spares, so if I ever have problems with this one, it'll be right there for me. You want to make sure you have your spacer that goes between the motor and the transmission, and then you have the inspection plate here to go with that. Your wiring harness, so keep the harness you have here. On the nice thing is on the TJs here, the early models, the wiring is already there. It's just folded back, so you don't need to swap out an entire wiring harness. So that should plug right into this. And then lastly, you need to get your PCM flashed. And the reason is the PCM needs to be flashed so it can lock up the torque converter. Now, you can make a separate switch if you want to deal with it and manually do it, that's fine. Far easier to just get your PCM flashed. And the nice thing about that, if you're on a time crunch, go to wranglerfix.com. These guys flash PCMs, sent mine out. They received it, called me, verified what I needed done, and it was shipped out the next day coming back to me here. Very awesome company to deal with. wranglerfix.com to get your PCM work done. I believe that is all I have. Actually, I'm still waiting on a temperature gauge and the sending unit to come in, but other than that, this is the majority of your parts list. If there's anything else I'm missing, throw in the comments down below. I'm sure there's something else I'm missing right now. I know for a fact I'm missing some fittings for my cooler lines, but I'm going to customize that a little bit anyway. And one other thing that I need to do that's going to be different is the transmission mount, and that was one thing I was going to talk about. So the transmission mounts, let me grab this real quick so you can see. The transmission mounts for the 32RH, it's a one piece, but you see how it's got the drop here. Now that's going to be different than what comes off of a manual transmission. The thing that is the same is the actual rubber transmission mount. That mount is the same across all years. So that part you don't have to worry about. It's that mount that makes it different. Now, the thing that is going to give me a little bit of a headache that I have to redo is I have a cross member in there. And because the 32RH is shorter than the AX15, I need to cut my cross member off from the frame, move it forward, get it all set exactly where I need it, re-weld it in. So that's going to be an additional project I have to get done. And yeah, so anyway, let's get started. I know you've been listening for a long time. I forgot a couple things. Number one was I'm going to do a vent relocation on this transmission. I'm going to show you how to do that too. And the other thing was I didn't talk about why I'm not rebuilding this transmission. So I already saved you guys all the pain of having to watch me clean this thing up, but I got it cleaned up pretty good. There was a sticker on the bottom. I looked up the sticker to see what it was all about, and come to find out, this transmission's already been remanufactured, which tells me it should have low miles on all the parts that are in there now. I'm keeping my fingers crossed because you know how that goes with reman stuff, but I'm hoping for the best. Worst case scenario, if this thing is fried, and that's the reason the Jeep was sitting in the junkyard, I have another transmission sitting over there that I can just swap out in a hurry, and pray to God that one works too. So when the fluid came out of this one here, absolutely clear. The torque converter fluid is really clear. So that's why I'm not too terribly concerned that this torque converter is not in good shape. And I'm going to give it a chance. Worst case scenario, if I end up having vibrations, I could always swap it out later. Now, let's get started. Very first order of business when we get started, and I know I just talked to you for 10 minutes, stay with me here for just a second. We need to get the skid plate, or a whole bunch of stuff removed, but let me talk about that real quick first. If you do not have a cross member like I do, make sure you support your engine and transmission combination so that way it just doesn't hang there freely. But we have to get everything out of this Jeep in order to get this new transmission in. So skid plate comes off first, then we're going to get the drive shafts, then I'm going to get the cable shifter, then I'm going to get the electrical connections, I'm going to get the transfer case out of there, I'm going to get the clutch slave cylinder out of there. I'm going to disconnect the electrical portions that I didn't see before. I need to get the starter out of there, which, by the way, make sure you disconnect your battery first. Whole bunch of stuff. In order for the torque converter to sit in your crankshaft, you have to remove the pilot bearing and this bushing. The pilot bearing is easy to remove. You're going to use a blind bearing puller similar to this, and as you screw this in, this spreads out, gets behind it, and pulls it right out, no problem. This one here, there is such a tiny gap that blind bearing puller can barely grab onto it. It gets off center. This thing is a bear, but once you get it going and you're nice and straight, then it'll eventually come out. So you just have to be patient with this. This one here is going to give you fits, especially if you're working on the ground underneath your Jeep. There's nothing fun about this. Now that we have everything out down here, we need to go up top side. We need to get rid of the clutch slave. We need to get rid of the shifter tower, the tub plate, get the crank position sensor out of there because it uses a different one. So all those things need to come out of the top right now. I can't stress this enough. That blind bearing puller is going to save your butt getting that bushing out. And even then, it's going to get cockeyed a little bit. It just takes a lot of work, man. I tell you what, the thing was kicking my butt. Now, for those of you saying you don't need to remove your exhaust for this project, you're right, you don't have to, but I promise you, it makes it a whole lot easier. You can see how much room I have to work down here, and it just makes it nice and opened up for what we need to do. So let's get up top and get that stuff out of there. After getting your clutch pedal, your other brake pedal combination out, while you're in here, you might as well just get this one installed because this hooks up to your brake booster there. So get everything lined up, put in there. You got to put your clips on, make sure you're not losing the bushings that go somewhere right here. Get that clip on there, make sure everything's where it needs to be. I'm not going to lie, working under that dash sucks. Anyway, now while you're in here, you might as well pull up your crank position sensor because it will use a different sensor than what you have in there currently. Pull that out, pull the old sensor out, get your new one, install it, and then it can hang there ready to go, and it's something that's easy and out of the way. If you're like me, you're going to have wiring everywhere. I ran my wiring for my ARBs, my rock lights, all that stuff's out of big, I won't say big, but enough of a bird's nest behind there that went through the grommet where the TV cable needs to go. And that really put me in a little bit of a pickle because I need that space to install this, which means I had to back out a bunch of wiring. And this is why I'm looking like this right now. I have that grommet out. When you look underneath your dashboard, there's a little round grommet, just like this. Remove that. This one's going to take its place, and you slide your cable in. Remember, this is going to curve hard back, similar to this, to get to the transmission, and this up here is going to attach to the shifter. So tight working space, but I'm just kind of working logically as I take stuff out. I'm reinstalling stuff. I have my shifter mounted. I just need to get this cable in there, put it back there, and that'll get me set for now. Now, one of the things I'm not going to do right away is going to be the ignition lock cable, and the reason for that is I can't source one that's not broken. I pulled two of them. The clips always break on them, and I'm on that time crunch, so I'm just going to bypass that for now, but I will come back at a later time and get that set up and working properly. So time to get this cable in there, then I can start rerouting on my wire and get all this stuff buttoned up.